What you want. The Donnie Simpson Show.
Well, I want to thank my man Skip Pruitt for getting us started. I got to tell you, though, it's intimidating when you know your guests are some of the best music makers in the world. We got Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis with us today. What's up, brothers?
What's up, Donnie?
All right, man. How y'all doing, man?
Man, beautiful.
Oh, man.
Great now. Great to be with you, brother.
Man, always good to be with y'all, man. I'm telling you, so good to see you, man. I just wish we could be closer. You know, we owe each other some hugs whenever we get that chance.
Yeah, man. Well, but we're always close, brother. So that's
ain't
all
that
good.
the truth? No doubt about it.
Right now, we got to be safe and close.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
No question. I got to tell you this. Earlier today, I mean, I'm thinking about the show, doing this today, and thinking, like, God, why am I so nervous? I'm always nervous before I do any show, but especially nervous when it's with you guys. And I'm like, well, why is that? And you know what? I finally figured it out. I've said, you know what it is? It's just that we're such boys that when I have you guys on, I've always told people this because they always ask, what's your toughest interview? Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. You know, but y'all are boys. Yeah, but we're so close that I worry about it getting too inside. You know what I mean? It's just weird. And then we talk all the time, and it's like now you talk formal or you talk in a radio style. It's just weird. It's just weird to me, you know? So.
Well, what's funny though and that makes sense though, because it's like when we have conversations, we're just having conversation amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
But you realize that now we're having the conversation we would probably normally have, but everybody else is listening. And so it's like, wait, do people even know what the heck we're talking about? We might be relating a story that we totally know.
Exactly.
And to the audience, it's totally like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, right.
So, I get it.
Yeah, but I'm thrilled to have y'all on, man. Thrilled to see. So, Terry, that's a lot of gold on the wall. When they give y'all gold records, do they just give you one?
Donnie, for many, many, many years, I had no gold or platinum or anything on my walls, and my wife made me put them up. I guess.
Really?
Yeah, I never wanted anybody in the house to feel like this wasn't their house too.
Yeah. Wow.
You know,
yeah.
It's one of those things where you have to kind of temper yourself, because I could fill the whole house up with stuff that we've done. It's been that many years. So
yeah,
everybody else I have a big head start on everybody else. So
yeah.
But it's great to have back there. It looks good.
It does.
I love it.
It looks good.
I know. I'm jealous. I have them. I kind of went the opposite way. I had at one of our last houses, I did have records everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just haven't. I was going to say we've only lived here like a year and a half, but I just haven't put anything on the walls in here.
Yeah.
But it's all stacked in the corner, which my wife is all mad about.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling. they'll go up. But we have tons of it at the studio too, and I think that's the other thing is that I want home to feel like home. I don't want it to necessarily feel like work.
Yeah, I get that. That's amazing how much we are alike, because same with me. Well, the only difference in my gold records and yours is y'all got money for yours. You know, mine were just like, thanks for playing this here. But in the old house, I had one room all decorated. In the new house, which we've been in for 15 years now, nothing's up. I didn't want the house to be, a shrine to me. It's like, plus it's not my house anymore. It's grandma's house, man.
Yeah.
It's Grandma Pam.
That's right. That's right.
That's great.
Yeah, just one room. They're all up against the wall, just like, so we are like that.
But you know what I was thinking today, Donnie, is that people have great memories. Like music gives people such great memories of things that have happened in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about the impact that you've had not only on us, but on all the great artists that we love to listen to and talk about, the significance is, and the reason you're in the Hall of Fame, right, is because not only do people remember hearing the songs, but they also they remember who introduced them to those songs.
Wow.
Exactly.
You were the one that introduced. So like when a record came out, when a Jam and Lewis record came on, whether it was a Janet record or whatever it was, and people were listening to you saying, here's the new one from Janet Jackson. These are my boys, Jimmy and Terry.
Yeah.
That's what people remember. Not only the song, but they remember that moment they heard it. And you're a part of that for us. And that means the world to us, man.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
That shared listening experience is everything. I
Yeah.
mean, that's how we all used to get exposed to music. Now it's a little different, but
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
it
Right.
was everything.
Right.
Just how that introduction it marked the time.
Yep.
Yeah. That's deep, man. I never thought of that. That's wow. Well, thank you for that, man. And it was what a period to be a part of. I remember the first time meeting you guys, man, in Minneapolis, man. It's like, and I was talking about this actually on the radio the other day. I was talking about how when I met you guys, it was like we were old friends, like we had gone to elementary school together. It was just instant. Just
Mhm.
like that. I mean, just, I don't know how to explain that.
It's that Midwest thing, though, man. We're from the
Yeah,
Midwest.
yeah, right.
And upper Midwest, man. It's
Yeah, right.
Detroit's a lot, more soulful than Minneapolis, but it's something about the
Yeah.
Midwest that's amazing.
Yeah,
in terms
yeah.
of friendships and how we greet each other.
Right, no question, man. Now, Detroit was the first to embrace your sound. I mean, the Time and Prince, that whole Minneapolis thing, right? That was Detroit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Detroit broke us wide open, man. Yeah, Mojo.
Yeah, the electrifying mojo.
Electrifying Mojo. That's right.
I remember he played our record like when we first went to Detroit. I remember he played "Get It Up," our first single. I remember he played that like 12 times in a row
Wow.
Mhm.
because we went to the radio station.
Yeah,
and we're at the radio station, and he plays it, and he says, "Who y'all think this is?" And then he played it again. Then he played it again, and he said,
Uh-huh.
"I'm gonna play this like 12 times," and he did. And then he opened the window out in front of the studio where it was all curtained off, but he
Uh-huh.
opened the curtain,
Uh-huh.
and it might have been 1,000 people out there,
What?
all trying
Yep.
to see who we were.
Really?
And then they saw Morris, and they were like, "Wait, is that Prince? Oh no, that's Prince's cousin." And it was like it was the craziest thing. And we had just come off of what we call the Chitlin Circuit tour,
Uh-huh.
where we were in a station wagon down south,
Yeah.
and we were in South Carolina, North Carolina, right, and doing these gigs where two people would show up, and nobody knew who we were.
Yeah.
And we finally hit. I remember Greensboro, North Carolina, was the first place we hit, and it was like crowd went wild, and it was a big crowd, and we was like, "Oh, they get it."
Uh-huh.
And then I remember going to Atlanta after that, and we're thinking, "Oh, Atlanta, this is going to be the place, right?"
Uh-huh.
And I swear to God, Atlanta was like, we called it the cardboard cutouts. Like there was a few people in the crowd,
Uh-huh.
and we're playing our songs. Nobody's dancing, nobody's partying. It was everybody was just looking at us. We were
Wow.
like, "Oh, what the heck?" But that experience was so great for us to go through, rather than to have like the instant success where we're like, "Oh, you guys are the greatest." It wasn't
Yeah.
like that. We were like, "Man, we got our record out." People were like, they weren't feeling us, and then because we were a little different than what was happening.
Yeah,
And-
Right.
But when we hit Detroit, it was like open arms, man. It was, and I didn't get it. I get it now,
Yeah.
because I know that the legacy of Detroit, obviously between Motown and all that, but just from George Clinton to just you name it, I get it now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it was so amazing, man. That's why in the walk we said all of Detroit City. We had to
Yes, sir.
we had to shout them out, man.
Yeah.
No question.
Detroit is so musically and fashionably progressive. It just is. I mean, I remember the sisters there was just sharp
Yeah.
hairdo cut. I mean, it was magnificent. I had never seen anything like that. Been to Chicago, been everywhere, but Detroit was
Yeah. No doubt. Clean.
clean.
By the way, I remember the thing I remember about Detroit too was that was when we went there when our record first came out. So right after that, we ended up doing a show there,
Uh-huh.
and I can't remember the venue. It was about a 4,000 seat. Maybe was it? That was
It's
the Masonic?
20 grand, wasn't it?
No, but it wasn't the 20 grand.
The
'cause
Fox?
20. It might have been the Fox, but it was a big show because it was Cameo. Remember
Uh-huh.
Cameo
Oh yeah.
Ah,
and Shalimar.
Oh
right.
wow. Uh-huh.
They were the opening when we were the opening acts for them.
Uh-huh.
And but what I remember was we had played with Cameo in Minneapolis about maybe 3 or 4 months before that. And the dude who was like their, I don't know, not their road manager necessarily, but the guy who was kind of taking all their equipment apart. I remember he looked at us and he was like, "Y'all ain't never gonna beat nothing." And we were like, "What? Like, why is this dude even talking to us?"
Wow.
Right.
Right.
And so now fast forward, 4 or 5 months later, and we're in Detroit. And I swear to God, when we started playing the stick, and when the drums came in on the stick
Uh-huh.
and the spotlight went on Morris, and Morris had his back turned to the audience
Uh-huh.
and was just combing his hair. And the crowd went like that, right? And I remember later on that night, Cameo went out. We love Cameo. Cameo went out that night and had, just a bad night. They just didn't have it.
Yeah.
People were leaving. It was crazy. We
Yeah.
saw that same dude.
Wow. Wow.
Afterwards. And he just looked at us and just shook his head. And we were like, yeah.
Yeah. Who
So
knew?
it was like, yeah.
Who knew?
It's like, we're never going to be nothing. Okay, cool. But I mean, those are the kind of life lessons, man, that I mean, they're so good, because as you move forward, you don't get cocky and you don't get, you don't get enamored with yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're like, okay, we're just going to do what we do.
That's one of the keys to success and longevity, isn't it?
Yeah, longevity.
Can't be
man.
full of yourself.
Can't be full of yourself, man. I mean, because you will be humbled. If you don't humble
absolutely.
yourself, God will do it, and you don't
That's
want
right.
him to do it.
No,
That's right.
It's like going home to your mother's house. You don't care how many ducats you got in your bank account. It's like,
I know.
boy, empty that trash.
Yep,
Wash them dishes, boy.
no
That's
That's
question.
right.
Yeah, it gotta keep you straight. So you gotta
Yeah.
always get in your place.
No doubt. Y'all
That's
would
right.
love this. This is, I always say when I write my book, this is going to be a chapter called The Perfect Day. And it was my 30th anniversary in radio here in D.C., right? And so that morning, man, I go out for my run at 4 a.m. I get back. The morning paper has been thrown, right? I get the Washington Post. There I am on the front page of the Washington Post, Donnie's 30th anniversary. Wow. Okay. So go do the show. We do it live at Ben's Chili Bowl, a historic spot. We got 2,000 people down there for the show or whatever. Later that night, we got a star-studded show. Every LL Cool J, all kind of people are performing. It's crazy. Smokey surprises me. We have an after party with Smokey and all these people, man. I get home at 1:30 in the morning and Pam says, "Don't forget to take out the trash." I'm like, that's the perfect day. I needed that. It's like,
Right. Yeah,
I
you
love
gotta
it.
perfect,
gotta
man.
get back in line, man.
Yeah,
That's
get back in line, boy. You're right.
That's right. This is real here.
No question.
love
I got to tell y'all this, too, speaking of Detroit, that it was my mom who first told me about you guys. I don't know if I ever told you that, but of course, my mother had a record shop in Detroit for many, 54 years, which is why I do what I do. I grew up in that record shop. But my mom, because I had left Detroit by the time y'all hit, and I was in D.C., but, my mom would turn me on to music. And she would say, yeah, you need to listen to this group called The Time. I went to see them the other night. They had a showcase here. She said, yeah, they got a guy up front named Morris, pretty boy with the mirror and all that. She said they were in the Get It Up, but now they're on the Cool. And so I started playing it in D.C. because of my mom. So how cool is that to have your mom turn you on to guys that became my best friends?
Right.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
awesome, man.
Oh, but just to have my mom turn me on to some good music, that would be like, that was timely and new. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah. Mom was up
that's
on
amazing.
it, man. She was in the business, Yeah.
I love that, man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
amazing.
You can't write it. You can't write that script, brother.
Can't write it. No question, man. I remember talking to y'all the day that Prince died, and I would love to talk to you about that again. I mean, and first of all, I have to thank you for being willing to come on the air and talk to me about that day, because that was a day filled with emotion, I mean, it's just a day none of us could ever forget, man. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was in such shock. Pam came upstairs because my phone had started ringing, so it was all the news media calling to get comment and stuff. And so I knew something had happened because the phone is just ringing like crazy. And then I hear that this is the deal, and I go online, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just frozen, staring at my computer, because in disbelief. Pam comes up, and she's crying, and I cannot even turn to console her. I don't know what to do in this moment, just frozen, so, I hate to take y'all back into that, but I would love to know what you were feeling that day and just some of your greatest remembrances of your friend.
Well, definitely. I'll tell you what was weird for me, even beyond the obviously the tragedy of his death, was I found out. I'm trying to remember the brother's name. I can't remember his name. The brother on TMZ, right? On the show, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I knew him a little bit because my son, Tyler, my oldest son, went to Arizona State and played basketball there. So we ended up getting to know each other because he's an Arizona State alum, and every time we'd go to like a game in UCLA or USC or whatever, he would be there at the games and stuff, and he'd always say hello and whatever. But we never had any interaction, right?
Yeah.
And I remember getting a call, and it's him on the phone, and I said, "Hey man, what's up?" And he said, "Hey." We're gonna go with a story, but I just wanted to check with you first. And I said, okay. And he said, so Prince passed away. And I'm like, huh? And he said, yeah. And he said, evidently it was at Paisley Park. He was found in the elevator, whatever. And he's like telling me this, and I'm thinking, okay, is this a TMZ trick of some sort? Is this like I didn't know,
Yeah.
and I didn't have any feeling about that I didn't trust the dude or anything, but I didn't get it. And I said, I haven't heard that, man. And he said, well, and I said, so you're trying to figure this out? And he says, well, no, we've figured it out. He says, we're going to go with the story. But he said, I just wanted to see if you had anything or you knew anything or whatever. And I said, I don't know anything. Anyway, so that was the way I found out. So that was, for me, in that moment, that was the weirdest thing to me. Like I was more confused than anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I
Absolutely.
think it took a minute to figure it out. And then, of course, they went with the story and everybody else jumped on it. But I just remember feeling just numb because what do you say and who do you call and what do you do? I just remember that feeling that was, I don't know, my feeling.
Yeah. Terry?
Yeah, mine was pretty much the same. I think my phone started ringing early that morning and it just wouldn't stop ringing. We didn't even know because at my house, we don't even answer the phone. If you don't have the cell number, you're not going to get me.
Right.
So,
Same here, bro.
So the phone was ringing and finally it came on TV that Prince had passed. And, it was a numbing experience. So I started to call around and try to find out what happened. And, certainly at that point, you can't get anyone. And, I was devastated to a different point because I had just talked to him just like a week or two before. And I had told him, I said, man, this has happened after his incident on the plane where, he had the land and everything. So I kept checking on him and I kept saying, man, we got to stay in touch, man. Because, we're getting old, man. He said, you're getting old. It's like, okay. In Prince fashion, you just take it and say, okay, man, well, cool, let's just stay in touch. And then so the more the day went on, I mean, you're hoping that it's not true.
Yeah.
And then you find out that it is. And, I was pretty much okay. And I didn't break down, man, until I talked to Morris that day. And that was my breaking point. That was because you all right, Mo? Yeah. You all right, T? Yeah. I mean, it was a devastating day, man. And I miss that man so much, man.
Yeah.
It's someone that you love so much, that you disagree with so much, that you fight with so much, that you did so much with, man. It's just amazing that you have those kind of feelings for that guy, because he's one of those guys. He's like a brother, like us. Like, I can sit here and talk about him and say all kinds of whatever I want to say about him, but I would never let anybody else say anything about him.
Yeah.
I would
That's
fight
right.
them
That's
physically, physically fight them about some Prince. So
yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah, he's like
That's
my
right.
brother.
I can talk about him, but don't you talk about him.
Don't you say a word about
That's
it.
right. That's right.
You don't have enough stock in this game here, so don't.
That's right.
Yeah. I had a long conversation once with Mo Austin about Prince when he was putting a slave on his face and trying to declare his independence from the record industry. And man, it was kind of knock down, drag out, because I was like, yo, man, how many times does he have to die and come back to be able to own himself again? Well, the decisions that we make and blah, 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 and we miss on some and we hit on some, and the ones that hit go to pay for it. Was like, that's your choice. That's not his choice. So we had those the conversations. So, Prince was near and dear to all of us, man. And he changed our lives, specifically us, but everybody. He changed our lives, man. He gave us an opportunity that no one else ever had or could, I think.
Yeah.
And it's hard to articulate too, but it was interesting because Terry and I are we're nominated for an Emmy Award for the Prince special that we did.
Oh, is that
We,
right? Oh, that's
yeah,
great. Oh,
yeah.
congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Which was
along with Sheila E.
fantastic, by the
Along
way.
with Sheila.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it was great,
Yeah,
man.
my sister Sheila E.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's but for us it was interesting because I just felt like, we always talk about, how, God put you in places, right? And so Prince being the person instrumental in our lives as far as, us being here and being able to do music and all of the things that we were able to do because of the break that he gave us back in Minneapolis,
Mhm.
to then to have a chance to be a part of kind of telling his story and kind of memorializing him, if you will, through the Grammys was just amazing to me. Just that opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because it was a way to, I guess, in a way, sort of publicly say thank you to him for all of the things that he allowed us to do.
Yeah.
And then to be Emmy nominated for it. That's our first Emmy nomination. So
wow, that's great.
so he continues to even touch our lives in ways and expose us to opportunities that we wouldn't normally have. And I don't know. He's the greatest. I mean, for me, just of all time, and to have the opportunity to have learned from him, to have argued with him, to disagree with him, or whatever all of those things are, man. He was the life changer for us in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the stories I always tell people. I mean, here we are. We were trying to make a Time album on the last album we made. So we made the album. He didn't want us to use the name, so we became the original 7 for that album. Album came out. We were on a good path, and then Jesse decided he was going to quit on online somewhere, some social media,
Facebook or something.
Yeah,
Wow.
so some social media venue.
The night after we had a nice conversation, we thought we were all in a good place.
Yeah,
And the next day we woke up and everybody's like, "Hey, Jesse just said he quit." I'm like, "Huh? Wait, what conversation was I on? Did I miss something in the conversation?"
Yeah, it felt like Scooby Doo. So we go out another couple weeks. I go on vacation to Hawaii, and I get this call. It's Prince. Terry's Prince. I was like, "What's up, Prince?" Because he called me before that because he loved the album. And he said, "What's going on with the album?" I said, "Well, the album's doing what it's doing." I said, "Jesse just quit." He said, I heard. You guys going to tour?" I said, "I don't know, man. We're thinking about what we're going to do right now. We don't know." He said, "Well, if you need me, I'll be a guitar player." I was like,
"What?" Wow.
Yeah. I'll be the guitar player, but we can't use the name. I want to fly through the phone and choke you, but I'm on vacation. So,
wow.
So that's the kind of dude he really was, like musically, and as a person, he was great. We had our disagreements. I can't even say we had arguments, because arguments is one of those things where you have the possibility of winning or losing. We never had the possibility of winning, so I just said we just had disagreements. So, but all in all, man, a fantastic man, and I really appreciate him so much, man. And being in the Time, he used to always say, "You'll understand later." When you get to be the boss. And then when you get to be the boss, when we became the boss for Flight Time, and we had to deal with things accordingly, we started to understand a lot better.
Yeah, that's very true. It's easy to it's easy to criticize somebody's decision making when you haven't been in a position to make the decisions. And so once we got in that position, it was like, okay, now we see why Prince did some of the things that he did, and it made perfect sense. The thing too that I wanted to say was that Terry used to have really long, deep conversations with Prince all the time. And what I think the thing that Prince liked about Terry so much was that Terry always told him straight. That's
Terry
Donnie.
Lewis.
That's Terry, right?
No doubt.
He tells you. And I think Prince was around so many people. I've talked to Morris about this too. Prince was around so many people that just were kind of like yes people, like okay, whatever, that kind of thing.
Of course.
And Terry wasn't that. And I always tell people, even in the Time, Morris was, he was the lead singer of the group. But if you asked Morris a question, he would always go, "Oh, ask Terry." Like Terry was the leader of the group, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Prince always appreciated that, and that was the reason that him and Terry got along so well, because Prince knew he was going to get it straight,
Yeah.
from Terry.
Yeah. Well, there's no question about that. I mean, I can speak on that firsthand with Terry Lewis. You're going to always get it straight,
I love that. I love that. I feel, man,
Yeah, me too.
I'm so privileged, man, to
Yeah.
have someone that in your life like that,
Yeah.
who sometimes
doubt.
will tell you things that you don't want to hear, but it's coming from a place of love and respect beyond, right?
Yep.
And a lot of people don't have that in their life. They have people around them that will go, "Oh yeah, oh you're great," "Oh yeah, whatever," and they have ulterior motives or whatever you want to say. But I've always said about Terry, the biggest thing that Terry taught me, amongst many things, is he's the most unselfish person that I've ever known in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I thought I was being generous about things, Terry would do something and I'd be like, "Oh man, okay, I still got to get better at this," because he's so unselfish, man. And that's the thing, man. So we all get to benefit from that, but Prince benefited from that too, and I think he knew it and appreciated it.
Yeah, that's one of those things I think everyone needs, is someone that tells them what they need to hear versus what they want to hear. It gives you a better opportunity. If you love somebody, you just got to let them have it. And then we can heal from there.
Right.
And we have that in our life, Donnie. Your wife Pam.
Yeah,
she's gonna give it to you straight, no chaser.
Yep.
I love that.
No
My
doubt.
wife Indira.
Yeah,
she's gonna be brutal, and I'm cool with that because I'm used to it. I grew up in Vernetta's house, and
that's Terry's mom.
Yeah, she gives it all the way straight, no chaser. It's like, okay.
Yep.
I told her mom I'm getting married. She said, "You have my deepest sympathy." I thought that was so funny.
I love that.
Laughing. So I use that one now. You have my deepest sympathy.
Oh, that's too funny. Wow. I wanted y'all to talk for a minute about that day that Prince died, when y'all came on my radio show to talk about him. You were talking about him as a kid, about playing your instruments, about how he was how he could play everything, would teach you how to play your instrument.
Man. Yeah, it was, I met him in junior high school, and we were in a piano class together, but we both knew how to play. So basically it was a way to get out of school for an hour and just take piano class, right? And they had at the time this big kind of console thing. It was like a bunch of different keyboards set up, right? And the teacher would give us, like, Mary Had a Little Lamb or London Bridge. She'd give us the sheet music for it, and then she'd leave the room. And then when she left, we'd put on like headphones and stuff, and then we'd just be playing. And I thought I was a pretty good keyboard player at that time, although I was more of a drummer. I thought I was more of a drummer. But listening to Prince, man, he was like in a whole nother world, man, on the keyboard. And I was like, wow, I never heard anybody play the keyboard like that.
Yeah.
So later on, there was a school play we were going to do, and they needed to put a band together for it. And so, I remember they came in the room and they said, "Okay, so who wants to be in the band?" And we all like raised our hands. And they said, "Okay, Prince, what do you want to play?" And he said, "I'll play guitar." And I looked at him like, "Guitar? You play guitar?" And then they said, "Jimmy, what do you want to play?" And I said, "I'll play drums." And Prince looked at me like, "Drums? You play drums?" It's like, right, it was so crazy. So anyway, we get in this rehearsal, and we're playing. Prince plugs in his guitar. And when he plugs his guitar in, the first thing he does is, remember Make Me Smile by Chicago?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He does the guitar solo. Terry Kath was a guitar player in Chicago. He does that solo note for note. And that was like the guitar solo. Like if you were a guitar player and could play that solo, that was it. Rip this thing off. And we're talking, he's maybe, I don't know, 14 years old, 15 maybe.
Wow.
He rips this solo off, man. And I'm like going, wow, that was good. So anyway, we do our thing. We take a break. I go to the bathroom. I hear somebody on the drums tearing the drums up, and I'm thinking it's like the music teacher or something, right? I come out, it's Prince on the drums, killing the drums. And when I walk up to the drums, he like hands me the drumsticks, and they're like on fire. They're like, I don't even want to sit down at the drums anymore. And that was my earliest memory, man, is that this dude is a genius.
Wow.
Like I never
Absolutely.
had seen anything like
Mm.
that, you know. And that
Mhm.
just continued on, obviously, over the years. But that
Yeah.
was like my first impression when we were, junior high school kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that continued on because he would take anybody's instrument and show them apart
Yeah,
and walk away and it's on fire and hand you the thing and say, here. You say, well, what am I supposed to do now?
right, right,
I'm supposed to
Right.
play after you?
Yeah.
No,
Right.
right.
no, he do that to everybody. So,
Yeah. You know,
yeah.
I've always felt that there are very few people that I've seen in life who I feel are doing exactly what God put them here to do. You know,
Mhm.
you can watch somebody as a great basketball player and think, even Magic Johnson, as great as he was, well, but he's a greater businessman. you know,
Mhm.
but people like Prince, Spielberg, it gave me time. I'd think of a few more. Stevie, that they're doing
Donnie,
exactly what God put them here to do, man. I mean, just
Donnie
Yeah.
Simpson.
no,
Yeah, Donnie
well,
Simpson.
no.
Absolutely. Yeah, tell me you sold some shoes in your life.
No.
You never sold those shoes, Donnie.
Hey, Terry, God looked out. He looks out for the ones that aren't that bright, maybe. Like me. He
Fools and
started me
babies, right?
early. Yep, fools and babies. It started me as so young, man. At 15 years old, I never did anything else. This is all I've ever
Right.
done.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there you go. You are the example of that. But yes, there's people that, it's their oxygen. I was telling somebody the other day, I just celebrated my 26th wedding anniversary with my
Oh,
wife.
congratulations.
And I know I'm way
Yes.
behind you, Donnie. I know I'm way behind. I'm trying.
A little bit.
Yeah.
About 21 years.
Yeah, exactly.
You and Lisa keep at it.
Yeah. We'll figure it out one of these days. But we were talking about how it's like the thing that, like when we got married, the thing that Lisa never said to me, which every woman at some point had said to me,
Mhm.
was they said, "You love your music more than you love me." And that was always like, Terry always called it the off switch. Like when somebody would say that
Wow.
to me, it would be
Wow.
like, okay, you're done. Because to compare music to a person, to me, is like that's like saying oxygen, you love oxygen more than you love me. It's like, oh yeah, I do, because I'd have to love the oxygen, because if I don't have it, I can't breathe.
Mm.
Right?
Wow.
I have to have the oxygen, I have to have the water. There's things that I have to have.
Mm.
And there's people that when you talk about people like that, Prince was that kind of person, Michael Jackson was that kind of
Yeah.
person. People that breathe music, it's their oxygen. It's not what they do for a living.
Mm.
It is their living.
Yeah.
It is them.
Mm.
Yeah, it's who they
And
are.
Yeah.
it is who they are. Yeah, right. So, and that was the thing with Lisa. Lisa understood that about me, and it was a thing that other people at some point didn't understand. They were like, "Oh no, that's music isn't something I do. It's like who I am."
Wow.
And so
Wow.
if you
That's
don't
heavy.
get that, then I can't be with you. So it's it works out. But that's, to me, the key to people like that. What's the saying? If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we
I
love
get that.
what we do.
Yeah.
It's our oxygen.
Yeah. I had a cool moment I got to tell y'all about. This was about 3 weeks ago. My son DJ and his family were over just hanging out at the pools. He brought his little music, he's playing his music and everything. And this song comes on. And I what? It was America, um, Ventura Highway.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard it. I'd never heard the song. So I was just
wow.
freaking. I was like, wait a minute, that's Janet. Someone to love me.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that was a sample until
Yes.
that moment, and so I immediately bought the song and fell in love with it. I mean, it's a great song. And I used
It
to
is.
love America. I don't know how I
Me
missed that
too.
song.
No,
I
I loved
loved
America.
America.
But we've said it before, but when me and Terry met, it was interesting because my influences were all more pop music influences, because that's what I grew up hearing on the radio.
Yeah.
But I always mention America, I always mention Seals and Cross, I
Ah,
mention Chicago, certain
yeah.
people like that, right? Because I
Right.
always love the harmonies and stuff. But the funny story about that record for Janet was I always wanted to do something with that song. So I sampled it. And I remember I sent her the sample and I said, "What do you think of this?" And she said, "Oh, I love it. I love it." And so she wrote to it. Well, when she wrote to it, she wrote, actually, it's kind of weird, is she wrote backwards. So, right. So if this makes sense, the song actually starts in the higher key and then goes to the lower key.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote it from the lower key to the higher key. So when she sent it to me, I was like going, wait a minute, that's not right. And she said, well, I didn't know. I've never heard the song before. So she had never heard it before. And the reason that it's kind of a little bit different from the way the original record was simply because she just wrote it the way she heard it, which was different than the way they had written it. And of
Yeah.
course, ended up becoming a huge record. Later on, I can't remember the other gentleman's name. Dewey Brunel, I think, is one of them. And I can't remember the other gentleman. But I was on a plane and he turns around and he goes, are you Jimmy Jam? And I said, yeah. And he said, I'm whatever the guy's name from America. And I said, oh, I said,
Wow.
dude, I said, it's nice to meet you. He said, you built me my pool. I said, great, from the royalties of the song,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And then he asked me, he said, did you guys sample that or did somebody play that? And I said, well, we initially sampled it.
Uh-huh.
And I said, and then when I think it was Warner Brothers was the record company at the time, and they came back with some crazy number that they wanted for the sample. And I remember calling Janet's guitar player
Mm-hmm.
and just going, hey, the lick on Ventura Highway? And he says, yeah. And I said, can you come over and play that real quick? And he came over and 10 minutes played it.
Uh-huh.
And I gave him a couple $100. I said, thank you. And then that was it. And so they were totally cut out of it. And he said to me, he gave me his card and he said, if you guys ever want to do any other America songs, he said, just call me. I played them all. Right. And I'm like, okay, perfect. And but it was so cool, man. And I love that record, man. But I didn't know you didn't know.
No.
It's funny with samples. I'll tell you another quick one like that. So All For You, Janet.
Uh-huh.
And so that for me was always The Glow of Love by Change that Luther Vandross sang. That was the sample, right?
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that song for the first time. And I used to, when I was DJing, because I was in my club DJ days at that point when that record came out, and I used to take the beginning of it and just loop it over and over because I love the feel of it. So when we finally did the song, I did the sample. And then I remember, I can't remember which dancer it was, but one of Janet's dancers was there when we were doing it at the studio. And she walked in and she started dancing and partying. And she said, oh my God, I love this record. I love this record. And then Janet walked in after her. And Janet's kind of like, okay, yeah, this sounds cool. This sounds cool. And then she goes, Janet, don't you remember this song and whatever? And she said, what song? I don't know what this is. And she goes, oh my God, Luther Vandross, you don't know this song. And I knew at that point in time, I remember, I think I even said to Terry, I said, okay, I think this one's going to work. And he said, why? And I said, because the dancer knows the song. It might have been Shawnette. I think it was Shawnette.
I think it was.
It's Shawnette, right?
Yes.
I said, Shawnette loved it because she remembered the sample of it.
Mm-hmm.
But Janet loved it without ever knowing the sample. And I said, if you can find that sweet spot like that, then I think we're good. And of course, ended up being a huge record for her. So the epilogue of the story, as Quinn Martin Productions would say. So the epilogue of the story was at the Grammys the year that we won a Grammy for that song for Best Dance Recording.
Mm-hmm.
A gentleman came up to me named, I know his Wayne Garfield, I think is his name. And he was the guy that wrote the original song.
Yeah.
And he walked up to me and he said, you bought me my house. I love it. I said, dude, thank you so much, man.
Oh, that's great.
I love that. So anyway, I'm off on a tangent, but I love
it, Jimmy. I love
but
it.
see, I just love the connectivity that music has. And that to me, like when sampling first started, people kind of thought that we wouldn't like it. Like when they'd ask us about it, they'd almost know, oh no, you guys are like real songwriters. So I know you don't like sampling. And I'm like, I love it because I love whatever tools are there to do it. But what I love is the effect in introducing somebody to a great song. Like, you went back and got the America record, not knowing, but that's the kind of thing that would happen when we used Papa Don't Take No Mess by James Brown on That's the Way Love Goes, right? And there's people that have heard the Janet thing, and I go, well, that's James Brown, and then they go back and listen to it and go, oh shoot, that's right. And then they realize it's also like the Vapors, it's also like all these other hip hop records, and people love that, man. So I love connecting, man. I love the way that works, man. And I think the greatest composers, when we talk about Beethoven and all these great composers from the past, they had a piano, and that's what they did their songs on. But you couldn't tell me if Beethoven wasn't alive today, and whatever the latest synthesizer was or the latest, technology, people like that who are creative, you're going to use the tools that are there.
Available. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I love that. We've always embraced that. And I think that's been a key to our longevity.
Well, to me, it's like when people say, I've always felt this just as a DJ, but that they never make music. They don't make music like they used to. People always say that. And I go, yep, you're right. They never have, and they never will.
Right.
It's always evolving. And if you don't get with it, you'll be stuck right there making that statement, listening to Count Basie the rest of your life without Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis or Biggie's flow.
Right.
You got to move on. You got to, you have to be open to everything, it seems to me.
Yeah.
Well, you look at it, you can find good in anything, man. I like pretty much every kind of music there is. It's just based on whatever that song is. If I like the song, I like the song. The presentation to me it can change. I actually want to hear new things all the time because new things inspire you.
Yeah. If there were one signature song for Jam and Lewis, what would it be?
Optimistic.
Yeah.
Sounds of Blackness.
Yeah.
Because of the
That's
message,
my
or
favorite.
because
That's an easy one.
really? Wow.
Yeah.
I think the whole package of that is just the track is slamming, the message is slamming, and the performance is there.
Amazing.
Production is right on. That song makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I wake up, I want to put that song on all the time.
Wow.
I think it's the song that I think when we hear it, whenever we hear one of our songs, most of the time, I know for me, I'm always still trying to produce the song. Like I'm still listening to, oh man, we should have turned that drum up, or we could have redone that vocal or whatever. I'm still dissecting the song because I'm still back in the moment when it was created.
Yeah.
And when you hear songs from other people that you really like, you're really not thinking about those things. You're just enjoying the song. You're just letting the song wash over you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Optimistic is one of those songs where when I hear it, I don't think about, the vocal track or I don't dissect it. It just all comes to me as a song. And so it's like one of the songs that I can listen to like almost through somebody else's ears.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It totally does. This is a conversation I had one night with Frankie Beverly. I think y'all appreciate it. I was telling him that I said, all my life, I've wished that for one night I could listen with Stevie's ears.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie said the most fascinating thing to me. He said, I wish I could listen for one night with your ears. He said, because when I listen to music, I'm dissecting it. I'm picking it apart. Why would they do this? Why would they do that? He said, man, you're just in the groove and the vibe. You're just feeling it for what it is,
Right.
And I said, wow. So then I ended up feeling blessed that night. It's like, well, I'm glad I don't have those ears. I mean, one night I remember being with you guys. We were riding in Minneapolis in your new BMW 750iL, Jimmy.
I remember that car. I love that car.
And I'm in the back seat. Y'all up front. Y'all are listening to something. I don't remember what we were listening to, but I'll never forget it because I think you said to Terry, man, this dude's crazy. Terry says, yeah, I know. He said, I mean, really crazy. I mean, to play those chords there. And I was like, God, what I wouldn't give to know what they're talking about. It's a musician's conversation that only you understand, But to talk about a guy's mental state because of what he's playing was just fascinating to me.
Yeah, well, it's the blessing and the curse. I mean, never can I get in the car and turn on the radio and not think, oh man, she should have sang that better. Yeah. Should have went here. Should have did something else there. I can't go to a concert without critiquing what's going on stage. I can't just sit back and enjoy it, and that makes it really tough sometimes. So, like you say, your ears. If I could listen with your ears, I'd be happy. I'd just be satisfied.
Just enjoy it.
Good. Just enjoy it.
The other thing I was going to say about Optimistic was that it was the song that we felt we needed to do. Like sometimes, Terry kind of said it earlier, like sometimes it's not what you want, it's what you need. And we felt like it was something that needed to be said. And I remember the reaction that Herb Alpert had when he heard it. He actually called us one day because the record company had told us at the time, they said, don't take the group. We were in Philadelphia, right, Terry, for
Right.
I think the IM convention. And we thought, let's take the group up to New York. And back in those days, before internet and all that stuff, let's take them to the radio station and see if we can get in and do some stuff. And I remember the record company was like, "Oh, there's no budget for that. We can't do that." So Terry and I we rented a bus and went in our pocket as we always did, and just said, "Well, let's go." And we went, and we basically sang. They sang on every street corner and every restaurant we went to, and whatever. We finally got on the radio. And I remember when we left. When we left, we came back. We're sitting in a marketing meeting probably a week later, and there was a guy sitting in the marketing meeting, and he was the guy that had like all the statistics of what everybody was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So they would go, "Oh, so and so sold 200 copies and whatever," and everybody would go, "Yeah," and so, playing the such and such club and whatever, right? And then at the end of it, they'd get to us and they go, "Okay, what do you guys got?" And before we could say anything,
Mm-hmm.
the guy goes, "These guys got 70 spins on WBLS. Oh my God. Whatever." And we said, "Yeah, we took the group to the station. Remember when you told us not to, but we took the group to the station."
Uh-huh.
And they were like, "Oh my God," right? And so there was a bunch of examples of that happening with that record. And then I remember the other thing was when the record eventually went number one. The whole thing was a huge record. But I remember Herb Alpert called us and he just said, "Hey man, I'm not calling about none of that. The fact that the record spins and all that." He said, "I don't care about that bull." He said, "I'm calling to tell you I'm just proud to be associated with this record. I'm glad
Wow.
that of all the places you could have brought this record, you brought this record to A&M."
Hmm.
And we were like, "Wow, that was cool." That year, A&M was up for 12 Grammys as a record company.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that won a Grammy that year was Sounds of Blackness.
Wow.
And there were so many stories around that record, and kind of the fact that it taught us so much about that we need to trust our gut. We need to do things. And if it needs to get done, we just reach in our pocket and do it. We can't wait for other people to fund stuff and all that stuff. It's like invest in yourself. And that's what Terry and I have always done. And so that record for us, beyond the fact of that when people would hear it, it became their song to wake them up in the morning or their song to get them through. And then watching it live again. I remember when Trump won the election, I think it was, might have been Chance the Rapper and a couple of other people put the song up to try to make people feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And it got a whole nother life. And then Common and Brandy redid the song, about a year later, 2 years later. It just has a life of its own, and it's that song that you when you need it, it's there for you.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those things to me kind of go into us feeling that way about it, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's a special song, man. I use it a lot of nights to close out my show because it's just, you need that. It's so uplifting, man. So powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so that's the song. I mean, we have other ones that we love, but that one that's the one for us. I think the only one that I would mention. I think the only one I would mention is in the same breath as it is, and we're thinking about it because we're getting ready to work with her on a new project, and that's Yolanda Adams' "Open My Heart." And "Open My Heart" had a similar story where I remember Sylvia Rohn, who at the time was at Elektra Records, we had tried to sign Yolanda, and but Sylvia ended up signing her. And I remember she called and she said, "Hey, I signed Yolanda. I know you guys were interested in signing her, but would you like to work with her?" And we said, "Of course." And I remember when we sent "Open My Heart" to her, and she said to Sylvia Rohn, and she said, "I got chills and I cried and when I heard it." And then when I remember when the record came out, the album came out, that wasn't the single, right? They went with a couple of different singles. And finally, we were kind of like, what happened to the song that made you cry? Like, why aren't we going with that? And I remember there was an explanation about, oh, it's the summertime, so it needs to be something up tempo, and it, all of these different reasons that couldn't be the single. And we were like, wow. And I can't remember, some radio station started playing it. Was it Elroy maybe in Chicago?
Yeah, someone at Elroy Station. Yeah, it's a gospel show. Yeah.
Yeah, and they played it, and back in that day, it's not, once again, it's before social media, so it's not, Twitter blew up or anything.
Yeah.
The phones rang, right?
Uh-huh.
Who is that? Oh my God, what is that record? What is that record? And then they called Sylvia and said, this Open My Heart record might be your record. And of course, it went, nuts and the whole thing. But it's that same feeling of just kind of going with your gut. Like,
Yeah.
I get demographics and analytics and I get all of that stuff. But for us, it's always been kind of what we feel in our heart. And we always felt like if we loved it, then we would just hope other people would agree with us. And that was the thing. So that was a record we loved, and it took on a life of its own, obviously. And and so now Sylvia is at Sony, basically the chairman over at Sony, and we got back together and had a conversation, and now we're going to do another Yolanda record.
Oh, great!
For her, and it's great. I mean, it's like certain people should just be together on certain projects, and that's the way that feels.
Well, another one of her songs that I close out with is "Never Give Up."
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I was in the studio with y'all when you were working on that one night.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I remember y'all talking about Yolanda. And Terry, you said, man, the thing with Yolanda is that she ain't low drama. She's no drama.
No drama. Zero drama.
Yeah.
No, she's amazing, man. I cannot wait to get back in the studio with her and come up with something going forward. I mean, I keep telling her, you're too important not to be important. We got to get you out.
Get you. That's right.
Yeah.
You got to get out there, And then she's a radio person too now. So
yeah, right.
So radio personality. So you get comfortable in your spot, but what you're made for is to sing. You need to sing. S-A-N-G. Sing.
Yep. Sing.
So do y'all still like getting on the stage and like you did for the Prince tribute?
I listen. I love the opportunity. Yes, I guess I have two thoughts. I never thought the stage was never my favorite thing because I never thought it was a thing that I did best. And I was buried behind keyboard, so it wasn't that big a deal for me. But I love the feedback of the stage, the instant, audience reaction. I guess I do enjoy that. But I more enjoy just being on stage just because being with Terry is great. Being anytime with Morris and Jerome and the fellas, whoever the fellas are at that point in time.
Yeah.
I love that. But I don't really miss being on stage. Now it's ironic, of course, now in the time of the coronavirus and all that. But we were one of the things on our, I call it the bucket list. Terry calls it the bucket list of things that we were going to do was we were going to do a tour, a Jam and Lewis tour, because we realized that one of the things we've never done is we've never played our own songs, other than the time songs, but we never played our own songs.
Yeah.
And it dawned on us when we were, when we were inducted in the Songwriters Hall of Fame a few years back,
which I was there for. What a night!
I know you were. I know you were.
Yes, sir.
It was awesome. But we played a little bit of Human, a little bit of Optimistic and stuff. And people after that said, "I never seen you guys perform your own songs." And we said, "Oh yeah, that is true. So let's put that on the list of something we should do."
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things we were planning on doing. And we will still do it at some point in time. But I think the idea of doing that would be a lot of fun, and to get together with the artists and stuff. I had literally a few weeks ago, I had Ralph and Johnny over to the house, socially distanced, of course.
Yeah.
And we sat and played like "Can You Stand the Rain," which I've never sat and just played with them, with them around just singing and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing. And I just realized that that's one of the things that we haven't done is just get with the artists and just do that. So
that would be amazing, man.
Yeah. But I enjoy, what I do enjoy is I enjoy watching, particularly with the fellas. I enjoy Terry and the other cool thing we did was the Soul Train Awards last year. We were able to perform with Babyface. And that was the thrill of a lifetime.
Really?
My God. Because Terry called him.
Cool.
Wait, tell him what you did, Terry, because it was so cool. Because Terry said, "No, I'm going to call Face, man. We're gonna get this together."
I say, yeah, Face, man. You're going to present us the award at the Soul Train Awards. I said, man, but would you consider performing with us on the set? Because he had performed with Jimmy and Morris at an event before.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And I felt like I missed out. I said, so man, I got to get a piece of this. I got to get a piece of this. He said, absolutely. I said, all right, I'm in. Let's do it. Yeah. So, had to have that experience, man.
Yeah.
It's about all these experiences. I guess those are the payoff things for me. It's greater than money, just the experiences of who you do these things with, to me, just the relationships that you develop over the years. So that was so fun, man, just running around the stage with Kenny.
Well, what was so cool too was that when he initially said he'd do it, we thought he'd come on and just do, hit us
Just the
do a little
time
Jungle Love, just the time stuff.
Yeah.
And then when we were at the rehearsal, Terry said to him, hey man, you want to play on this other stuff too? Because we hit a little Saturday Love and a little Tell Me If You Still Care, and we were hitting the classics, right? And he was like, okay, cool. He picked up his guitar, and after we did the rehearsal, he was like, oh yeah, no, I'm cool. And so he ended up doing the whole set with us, man, which was
he was playing. He was playing more than us.
Yeah, he was. He learned the songs better than us. That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
That's great.
That was
man.
awesome. Man.
I was thinking about him when you were talking about doing a Jam and Lewis review, if you will, because he always does a set of his songs in a show, songs that, the new edition stuff and whatever, whatever it is, Eric Clapton, whatever it is. And always, so I was thinking about him, man. But that's cool. That's another cool thing about musicians, though. Y'all get to play with each other, I never got to do a radio show with Tom Joyner and Frankie Crocker. We don't get to play with each other.
For some. Come on.
Yeah.
you gotta
I think
gotta do it while you can, man. That's a concept.
That's a concept. I like the idea of that.
Oh,
and that's why I call it the f***ing list. Let's do it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Let's do it.
The bucket list means that's like that's a downer. I'm not a downer. Like, nah.
Right.
What am I doing going forward? Like, you're only as good as your next shit. Let's do it.
Yep.
I love it, Terry. Always looking ahead.
For me lately.
So positive. Man.
Yeah, no, we got to keep it moving, man. I mean,
Yeah.
So for so long we were all disconnected by other people's opinions, and we have to definitely stop that. That's tragic to me.
Yeah.
People that I wanted to work with and still want to work with, like I would love to make a record with Frankie, Frankie Beverly.
Yeah.
Got to work with Luther, got to work with a lot of my heroes, man. Prince, Michael, George Clinton, been around these people, man, love these people. And I always said in terms of like all the great keyboardists like George Duke and the different people, we always wanted to make a situation, because you can put everything down, you can have them play in MIDI and see what their fingerings were. And I always wanted to do that because I said, once they're gone, you lose that, because everybody plays with a different touch and a different fingering on the keys. So to me, if we don't kind of cross-contaminate each other a little bit, we're going to lose all of that, man. We gotta get together, man. We talk to Kenny Gamble and Huff all the time, Leon Huff all the time, because those are our mentors. We talk to Quincy Jones. Just why not? We shouldn't be separate. We should all get together and share the information, and hopefully we can share with some of the younger people coming along, because it will keep them stepping in the same landmines that we did. And Clarence Avant was the guy that kept us from stepping in a lot of landmines.
The Godfather.
So, so we need to definitely have that experience available for people. So, I try to keep it positive, man, and keep it moving forward and keep it open.
But Terry, that's one of the good things about this, time that we're living in, is where people are taking a little more time to concentrate on, I think, excellence rather than just frivolous things, I guess I would say, because it's just a more serious time right now. And like even us connecting on this podcast, Donnie, like there's ways I've talked to people just because of Zoom technology and different technologies and stuff. I've had conversations with people that I would never normally connect with, but everybody's settled down for a minute rather than running from place to place.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a good that'll come out of this, I think. Obviously it's tragic to lose people. That's not what we want to do.
Yeah.
But there's the experience of this, to me, it's going to affect everybody in different ways. And I hope we come out of it. Terry talks about it all the time. It's not about the new normal. It's about the now normal. And it's like, whatever we come out of this, when we think about normal, we always, the hindsight's always great. Like, hindsight is like, oh, I remember when we used to do that and whatever. But you don't really remember the bad stuff that was happening necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, even when we got fired from the Time, right? It was like the worst day of our life.
I know
right?
that story too well.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great story.
But looking back on it now, we can romanticize it, and it's like, oh yeah, because that going forward we were okay.
Yeah.
The uncertainty is the scary thing going forward. But what you have to hope is that what we thought was so great about normal, a lot of the normal things were things that were, I don't know, frivolous or whatever. I mean, even social media, it's funny because social media is, people go, oh, social media is, it's a waste of time. Well, it's not the medium of social media. The medium of it is great. We saw the greatness of it when there was, Blackout Tuesday. We saw the greatness of it, whether it was for George Floyd and the awareness of that, or Black Lives Matter, or whatever those things were. It all of a sudden became important and the element that we could communicate with each other. And that's what it's there for.
Yeah. Well, because normal was overrated.
Really.
Yeah.
So we should never try to get back to normal. We should create the new normal that we aspire for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Sorry, we got all deep into it.
No, write that one, man. You got to write that song, Terry.
Well, yo, man, it's one thing that I always say, because everybody's talking about equality, this, that, the other thing. I don't want equality. And if you know the difference between equality and equity, you should look them up. We want equity. It's a totally different thing. Equality, when someone says that, equal to what? What's the measure? And, I was looking, because I've been saying this for years. And then the other day I saw online, I picked up a little picture that was really cool. And it showed 3 people. One was tall, one was medium size, and one was really short. And then they gave them all an apple box to step on so they could watch a baseball game. And so that was equal. Everybody got it equal. So the tall guy was extra tall. The medium guy was a little taller. The short guy couldn't see the game. But what equity is when it raises everyone up to the same level to achieve the same goal.
Right.
So they gave the tall guy nothing, so he could still see the game. They gave the short guy 2 apple cart boxes or whatever it was, and they gave the medium guy one. And so everybody at that point could see the game.
Yeah.
And I think the word equality kind of is a thing that makes people feel like, well, you're going to be equal to me. It scares the hell out of people. But all we say is we want a piece of the rock. We want a piece. We want to have a chance.
Right.
We want to have opportunity, the same opportunity that you wish for yourself. If you can't wish it for me, I think you don't deserve it. That's how I feel about it. Because I want everybody to have a shot. I want the kids that come along now, I want them to have the same opportunities that we had, and more. And it generationally, I mean, the baseball players, the greats, the football players that came before the ones now, they didn't get paid like these guys get paid now.
No doubt.
But you think they're not happy because they built the game.
Yeah. That's right.
They built the game. So you want it to evolve into something beautiful, man. And but then at the same time, those guys that are making all that money now should not forget the shoulders they stand on.
That's right.
So
absolutely.
It's really important. You got to pay it forward. You got to pay it back too.
Yes, I agree.
Yep. No doubt.
Absolutely right.
No doubt. Man, thank y'all for doing this with me today, man. I really appreciate. But before we go to the hats, what's the logo?
Well, you got some swag on the way.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, definitely some swag on the way.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, I should, wait a minute now. I can't probably do this with the thing, but we also, in these times of
you gonna go there, Jam? Okay.
Okay, wait a minute, T. Probably can't get it. Probably ain't gonna work with the microphone. I'll mess up the perfect microphone, but you can see we also have the masks.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I got my mask too.
Yeah.
And you really can't breathe.
Yeah. But no,
Yeah.
Man.
but the logo is it's Jam and Lewis, but it's also Just Listen,
Ah.
which is an
Oh.
audio company that we're working with, and there is a Jam and Lewis project that we've been talking about for, I don't know, 35 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
that is coming, and you will hear the new music along with the new technology on the Jam and Lewis project.
Okay.
So
All
it's,
right.
it's coming your
Damn
way.
it, Lewis.
Cool. Well, I can't wait. I know it's going to be excellent because that's all y'all do.
Oh,
You
man.
know, you
appreciate
only
that.
do it one way, man. You do it right, and I respect that, man. You know,
We
and
respect you, brother.
and I've always loved y'all's the relationship, man. You know, I mean, because I remember watching y'all back in the office back in the day in Minneapolis, man, and you know, people would come in try to run an in around, and Terry would say, "Well, what did Jimmy say?" Well, you don't need to ask me then.
Right,
You know,
right.
you already got your answer. That kind of
Right.
thing. Y'all were always one. You know, and with no paper between you. You know, no contract, just boys, man. And I just
a handshake,
man,
man.
respect for that, man. I really do,
Handshake.
man. Love y'all to death, man. Thank you
I
so
love you
much for
too,
joining
man.
me today, man.
Thank you, Donnie.
Appreciate
you.
it. All right, brothers. God bless y'all, man. All
All
right.
right, bro.
All right. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. You're on the Donnie Simpson Show. All right. We'll see you next week.